I just did a video on high tide. I actually have a membership on YouTube, so you can it's 3 levels. Is it 3 levels? Of I can't remember what it is now. I know one level is $14.99 a month, and you could choose a ticker of your choice. So somebody chose high tide, so I did high tide. I just released a video. I think the other levels are, it's 99 cents for level 1. That's just a basic level. Then $4.99 is just the next level. You don't really get anything for those levels, unfortunately. It's just to support channel. But thank you. There's about 30 people who are members. So I was thinking of doing some people have been asking about cannabis stocks, so I figured maybe I'll do a video on different cannabis companies. But let me know in the comments, are there cannabis stocks you follow? It's a little hard because most of these are pure play cannabis companies. But you can there's a lot of stocks that are tied to cannabis in some sort. I'm not going to do a stock there's some pharmaceutical stocks with 100 billion market cap, and they do 0.1% of their revenue in cannabis. So I'm not going to include those stocks because it just kind of skews everything. So IIPR is a REIT, and they provide the real estate to cannabis companies. So it's a little different, but it is directly tied to cannabis. So I guess that makes a little sense. Aurora, that's a pure play cannabis stock. When I say pure play, it just means they are 100% with that product. Like a Walmart is not a pure play anything because they sell so many products. They sell everything. But if you want a watch, a nice watch, you can buy it at Walmart. But if you go to a jewelry store that only sells watches, and that's a pure play watch company, you're probably going to get a better quality watch. They're going to have a lot more information. So anyways, so Aurora Cannabis, let's just get just some high level information so I can fill out my Excel spreadsheet. I mean, there's just so much information you can get on these companies. I mean, the list goes on and on. But I'll just try to give high level, and then we'll look into the fundamentals to see if so Aurora is I'll just do a Canadian cannabis producer. I think that's a good description. I think most of these cannabis companies are retail and wholesale and online also. They had 8 licensed production facilities, 5 sales licenses, and operations in 25 countries. That's pretty big. Does anybody know, does Aurora, do they do retail? Do they have shops in Canada where they sell cannabis? So production facilities means they have these large gardens where they grow the cannabis. It has funded over 625,000 grams of cannabis. Canopy is another pure play cannabis company. Canopy. Formerly Tweed Marijuana is a cannabis company based in Ontario. You're not going to find many cannabis companies in the U.S. because it's illegal in the U.S. on a federal level. Canopy was the world's largest cannabis company based in the valuable shares or market cap. At the time, Constellation Brands controlled over 35% of the company. the year 2019 created new challenges for the company, with its stock price dropping about 90%. But cannabis stocks have been going up a lot lately. Let's do a comparison to see what's. Let's try to stick to the pure play, because it's hard to compare like IIPR, which is a REIT. So this is Tilray, ACB, CGC, ACB. Let's see how they performed. CGC. So Cron, Cureleaf, I wish they would list the headers up here. It's hard to see what I'm looking at. Okay, here it is. I guess you just had to reset it. See, Cron, Green Thumb. I think that's a pure play cannabis company. Let's see. Green Thumb. Oh, that's probably not pure play. Green Thumb Industries. Let's see what they say about. They probably do a lot of other things because it's a U.S. company. Manufactures, distributes portfolio of branded cannabis products, including that's interesting. We are a leading cannabis CPG company. We existed helpful stewards to everyone. That has a much higher market cap than the others. And they're in Chicago. They must make other drugs, because their market cap is $3.4 billion. So that they obviously do other things. So, let's look at High Tide. The pure play cannabis companies are in Canada. I don't think you have any in the US, really. SNDL. And let me know in the comments. No one's commenting, so I hope everybody can hear me. It's just, they're such terrible performing stocks. Okay, High Tide is up 72% in the past year, so that's done really well. Sundial's up 39%. Coronos is up also 39%. Tilray is down about 4%. Aurora is down 30%. This is just in the past year. And CGC, Canopy, is down 47%. But if you go to past 2 years, everything's down. It's just that they had a boost this year. There's a few things going on. Well, cannabis was legalized in Germany, so that's somewhat of a benefit. I don't think it's a big, huge benefit to these companies. Also, they're trying to change cannabis from a Schedule 1 drug to Schedule 3. If they do that, So just a few months ago in August 2023, the Department of Health and Human Services recommended to the DEA, that's the Drug Enforcement Agency, that marijuana will move from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. So if this happens, then it'll be easy to get the drugs. Because Schedule 1 is heroin. I mean, it's in the same schedule, it's the same bucket as heroin. So it's Schedule 1, I'll show you the differences. Different scheduled drugs. Schedule 1 are highly addictive drugs that people depend on. And marijuana is in that category, which is crazy. And Schedule 1 is considered no medical benefits. Like heroin, ecstasy, LSD, they're Schedule 1. So they're trying to move it to Schedule 3. Schedule 3, let's see if they explain here. So Schedule 1 are defined as drugs with no accepted medical use and high potential for abuse. I hope you can hear me. So they're Schedule 1 marijuana. Schedule 2, which is one level down, high potential for abuse, leading to severe psychological or physical dependence. And Schedule 2 drugs are Vicodin, cocaine, meth. So these are considered safer than marijuana. Cocaine is considered safer than marijuana. But they're trying to move it to Schedule 3. And if that happens, it'll be a larger market in the U.S. Schedule 3 are drugs with a moderate to low potential for physical and psychological dependence. Schedule 3 abuse potential is less than Schedule 1 and Schedule 2, but more than Schedule 4. So these are ketamine, steroids, testosterone. Schedule 3. They're trying to move to Schedule 3, which will benefit. I mean, and Schedule 4 is even less dependence, low risk of dependence, like Xanax, Ambien. I haven't even heard of some of these drugs. But you could hear me, right? Because no one's commented yet. So I did a video on high tide today. And it's hard to value these stocks because they're not really making much money. Most of them are losing money. Although high tide, they still have negative net income. So this most recent quarter, their net income, they had a net loss of $5,000. So it's better than last year, which was a loss of almost $4 million. Let me know in the comments if you can hear me. So okay, Kevin, thanks. So you can see the net loss is only 5,000, but you could see prior quarters they had pretty significant losses. Last quarter, 32 million. Always the fourth quarter they have a lot of losses. So I guess things are improving. Revenue is improving. It's not going up that much. 81 million in Q1 of 2023, 118 million. Now it's 128 million. So it is in the right direction, I guess. But you want to see a little more growth. And they do have positive adjusted EBITDA every single quarter. And they had their first quarter of operating income. Prior quarters, they had operating loss. So these are okay numbers. I mean, if it's your own small business, it's fine. But investors can't make money on a business like this, so they really have to expand. In the U.S., Canadian sales are not nearly as significant. So 128 million of revenue. So 128 million of revenue. That's just for the first quarter of 2024. And most of that, 116 million, is their brick and mortar locations, like their retail locations in Canada. Pretty much like 90% of it are those handful of locations in Canada. They only did 12 million of e-commerce sales for US customers, and a little more than 500,000 for other countries. So only 12 million of e-commerce. That's really where they have to grow if they want to scale and grow. They need some of that US market. Maybe it's a little difficult to mail cannabis products to the US. It is illegal, but it's like quasi illegal. It's because, as you know, it's illegal on a federal level, legal in certain states. So if you buy cannabis in your state, you're probably going to buy it somewhere close to where you live, not get it shipped from Canada. So that could be a hurdle for this company. And so most of their sales are cannabis and CBD products, 103 million of the 128 million. And it's not doesn't paint the best picture. So wait. Okay. So yeah, revenue is up 9% from Q1 24 compared to Q1 23. Consumption accessories, I guess that's like gummies, that's down 18%. Data analytics, they provide data to other companies. So that's an opportunity to grow, I guess. That's 7.3 million. That's up 11%. They don't give that much information, like what exactly is data analytics. I kind of have a suspicion what it is, but they should give a little more information. Okay, here we go. The company recognized 7.3 million revenue from its proprietary data analytics service named Capex business data and insight platform, which is 11% higher. Okay, so that platform provides subscribers with a monthly report of anonymous consumer purchase data in order to assist them with forecasting and planning their future product decisions and implementing appropriate marketing initiatives. So it's for other companies that sell cannabis. They subscribe to the platform and they could see. So they must be getting data from a lot of other companies. It can't just be from their company because their company's pretty small. So they're probably getting data from a bunch of different sources. And that's up slightly. E-commerce. Well, is this like an industry people looking at it all? I guess not. Is there a particular stock or industry? Let me know in the comments of people looking at. I just listed a bunch of cannabis stocks. Sundial, which was a really popular stock at one point, that seemed like more of a meme stock, but that just fell off a cliff. I mean, it started out, well, they did a reverse stock split in 2022, a 1-for-10 reverse stock split. So they IPO'd, it looks like at $10 because it says 100. You have to divide by 10. Okay, a Midstream, Williams. I looked at them before, and you see it just came down. But it had a big bull run. In the beginning of 2021, cannabis stocks did really well when Biden got into office because he got elected at the end of 2020. And all cannabis stocks went up a lot because they thought he was going to legalize cannabis. But then when they realized that wasn't going to happen, it came right back down. Now, I guess, I don't know. I don't think it's trading at its all-time low. But it's pretty damn close. Okay, well, we'll do a different stock because I don't know how much people are into cannabis. So Williams is a Midstream. Yeah, Sundial, just a bad investment. It just keeps going down. 39.47. So Williams is a Midstream oil and gas company. Midstream is between upstream and downstream. It moves the oil between the upstream and downstream part. It also stores oil. It's a pretty safe industry. It's much, if you want to invest in an oil stock, Midstream is a pretty safe alternative. There's less high tie. Somebody asked me to do a video on it, on high tie, so I did a video. But a few people were asking about cannabis stocks. Williams is a C corp and not an S corp. Okay. Are they an MLP? Usually midstream companies are MLPs. You're at 179. That's a good price point. Hopefully you got it after the split and not before the split. $2.63, $3.6. Just the other day. Yeah, I don't know about these. It's really hard the cannabis stocks. Like the tobacco stocks are much safer. And tobacco stocks aren't usually great investments either. They do pay high dividends. But yeah, cannabis stocks are just so risky. So yeah, it looks pretty good. They pay almost a 5% dividend, which is good. I got them valued at 47. Let's raise the whack a little, maybe 43 to be conservative. Yeah, if you want a good dividend, usually like a REIT, of course, Midstream stocks definitely offer really good dividends. AMP, that's a cannabis company. So Enbridge is the largest midstream company. They're a Canadian company. But you can see these dividends, they're huge. 7%, 8%. I bet you there's some double digits. If it's 20%, I'd probably ignore it because it's unlikely that they can sustain that level. But Frontline, 11%. I'm up like 70, 80%. I bought ET 2 years ago. Like 70, 80%. Plus I get this 8% dividend. Because people don't realize, even if you're flat on a stock, say you held a stock for 10 years and you're flat, but if they pay a 6% dividend, you're not flat. Because not only do you get 6%, but you have to compound that 6%. So you have to assume you would have put it back into the stock, and then you calculate your because if you yeah, I'll show you how it works. So let's just say you had a stock for 5 years. and let's just say it paid a 6% dividend, which is a pretty good dividend, right? And let's just assume it's flat, like it didn't even move. The stock price, you bought it for 25, it's still 25 after 5 years. But your return is much more than nothing. Your return is 34%. But like if you just had for 1 year, obviously your return is 6%. If the stock was flat, you got a 6% dividend. You just got you're 6% higher than you were before. In 2 years, 12%. Well, it's more than 12. It's like 12.4. 3 years. So if you hold a stock for 10 years and you get a 6% dividend and the stock is flat, you got a 79% return. But could you imagine the stock went up like 20%, 30%? So a lot of people who are dividend investors, like they only think the way you get a return is through a dividend. They can't like mentally accept the fact that they never receive any money unless they sell the stock. Obviously, it's not a good way to invest, but I understand why people think that way. But you have to combine the two. Obviously, you have to combine the dividend and the stock appreciation. So if a stock goes, up, if a stock doubles and pays no dividend, say you held the stock for 10 years, and say there was 2 stocks. One was flat with a 6% dividend, and after 10 years, that's about a 79% return. And if you had another stock you held for 10 years, no dividend, but it doubled in price. So you got 100% return. So obviously the stock that doubled. Of course, you don't know what stock's going to double, how much does it go up. That's the great unknown, right? We do know what their dividend is, at least present day dividend. Of course, they could change that or remove it. So that's kind of like the hard part. But I don't really care if they pay a dividend or not. Obviously, if they pay a dividend, I have to add that to my analysis, because if I expect the stock price to go up, like to double in 7 years, say, that's what I think. And if they pay a dividend, I have to build that in. Hey, Alex, what's up? No, AMP is not a cannabis company. Hi there, guys. What's up? So I think, I never really followed Midstream. I follow so many companies. You should do a YouTube channel. If you want to learn about the stock market, do what I did. Create a YouTube channel and make about 1,000 videos. Because, some of the videos I do are just kind of like time consuming, where I'm not really learning anything new. But a lot of the videos I'm learning, and I never really looked into Midstream stocks. Now that I do so many videos and I've looked at the Midstream, that's what I bought ET, and because if you kind of like understand on a high level what this means, at least in the oil industry. So downstream is the extracting oil, which is the most risky part of the process. It's like actually pulling the oil from the source. Usually it's in the ground, and you got to break up rock to get the oil out. But that's a really risky process because it's so expensive to extract oil. The machinery is really expensive. Those rigs are so expensive. You have to break the rocks. You have to process the rocks to try to pull out as much oil. And the okay, I can't really mess it up. That's upstream. I always think of upstream first. always upstream, I think of in my head as the first part of the oil production process, because that's where it starts, from actually getting the oil from the ground. And pulling the oil from the ground is you can't use it for anything. It's just like if you had a cocoa bean, it would be so bitter and disgusting. You couldn't eat it. You have to convert it to something. You have to add sugar to it and make it like 50% milk, 50%, depending on how much sugar and milk you add to it, to make it to turn into something that's useful, people enjoy. So anyways, the upstream part is they extract the oil from the ground or whatever the source is. And then the midstream companies just transport the oil, usually by pipeline or vessel. So they just transport the oil from upstream to downstream. And it's a hard thing to do, transport oil. It's because could you imagine how difficult it is to transport 1 million gallons of oil? It's not like transporting like iPhones. That's much easier to transport. And then downstream is they usually convert the oil into something useful, like jet fuel or gas for our cars or gas for our homes. So they do the processing. There's like all these formulas involved to make the oil into something that we can use. It's just like the cocoa bean. The cocoa bean is disgusting, but then you if you want to make it into like 90% chocolate bar, you just add a very little bit amount of milk and a very little bit amount of sugar. Some people like that. If you want to convert it to 50% chocolate, then you add a good amount of milk, 50% dark. If you want it to, if it's like a 90% dark, you'd add a drop of sugar and milk. I guess there's no milk, so just add a drop of sugar. And if you want to convert that cocoa bean to 50% milk, you just make chocolate bars. Then you would have to add, lots of sugar and milk. It's just like the cocoa bean is a commodity. It doesn't matter where you buy it from. It's the same. It's identical wherever you get it from. Just like extracting oil from the ground is identical wherever you buy it from. Now, converting it from a commodity to a useful product, that's what I guess that's what a downstream company does. Just like gold, like 14 karat gold. It doesn't matter where you get it from; it's identical. But when a jeweler takes the gold and combines it with some platinum and silver and puts a diamond on it and then designs it, that makes it into a special product that they can upsell. Alex, you working Amazon deliveries? That's awesome. How's that going? Is it like a side job or is it full time? Anybody have any side gigs? I've had so many side gigs. I hustled my whole life. Some of them I've done well with. I made good money. Most of them I don't really make much money on my side gigs. Most of them I just made like a few hundred or a few thousand, or even lost some money. But some I've done well. Like I've made like 10, 20, 30,000. But very few I made a lot of money with. Yeah, I'm looking into opening another small business. I used to run a math tutoring center, a franchise. It was called Mathnasium. It was really great, a great franchise. I did it for almost 10 years, and I made good money. And then I sold it. Somebody wanted to offer me a good price, but speaker rentals, mostly because I want to buy a giant speaker and I need to justify it in my mind. There you go. what do they say? Necessity is the mother of creation. Wait, what is that? Mother of creation. What's that term? Necessity is the mother of creation. It's like when you need something, you need to do something in your life, that's when things are created. That's when people who make things or are very anybody like Thomas Edison or anybody that creates something significant, it's usually from necessity. Very rarely we create things that we don't need. Like I could try to create like a new women's women's lingerie or something I don't need, obviously. I could try to do that, but like when you really need something happens in your life and you have to fix it or correct it, that's when that quote is 100%. But it's so true, because when I had my small business, when I had problems came up and I had to come up with ways to fix them. Like I would have never come up with ways to fix those problems if I didn't have the problem in the first place. But like you kind of figure something out, and usually it doesn't work that well the first time, but after like fine tuning it and like working on it, you get it to a point where it works well. Hopefully, or you just pay somebody. But I try to like figure it out myself. It's good full time. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's a great job. Amazon delivery. It's such a big need. Amazon. Walmart is the largest employer in the world. Amazon is definitely top 10. That's another statistic you should look at when buying stocks. How many employees the company employs? Because when you're a really large employer, it's a great indication that your business is doing well. Obviously, it's not 100%. You could be overemploying people, but generally, if you employ like 100,000 people, you probably have a good business going. It's very likely. And if you employ one or two people, it might not be, you might not have $1 billion company. Of course, there's always extremes, outliers, but generally speaking, if you're employing a lot of people, you're probably doing something right. And that's what makes the economy grow, is employing people, creating jobs. Because without that, do we get a tax break when we own home-based businesses? Well, yeah, you do get a tax break. If you have a home-based business, you obviously work with your accountant, but you can write off, like just say for instance, say you rent your apartment and it's $2,000 a month. And if you work out of your bedroom as your full-time job, and if your bedroom is like, 1/4 of your home, you can write off $500 a month as tax deduction, for example. And of course, you can, if you buy supplies and if you employ anybody, all your expenses you write off. Which I guess that's obvious, because if you're employing somebody or if you're buying supplies for your job, you would of course write it off. You know that. But most people don't know, like, you can actually write off part of your home, whether it's you're renting or it's a mortgage, you can write it off. Obviously, you have to, within the confines of not your income. No, you don't get a write-off for your income. I think Midstream is just I don't think, unless you need money, but I think it's always going to be there. There's always going to be a need for midstream stocks because these companies have to transport the oil from one place to another. So there's always going to be demand for midstream. And unless you're one of those people who think oil will be obsolete, then I guess buy, Tesla or something, but that's not. So yeah, so I was talking about before, Amazon's the 5th largest employer in the world. Okay, so when I said earlier Walmart was the largest employer in the world, they're the largest private employer in the world. But I did think they were the largest employer in the world. I did think that. I thought I didn't know the Ministry of Defense in India is the largest employer in the world. I didn't know that. They employ 3 million people. Usually, private sector. Usually, the private sector employs the most people. So, in any town you're in, or any country, the private sector employs the most people because the private sector employs all the policemen, all the firemen, all the teachers, all the sanitation workers. So they just have a huge budget. So that's why the 3 largest employers are private. India, the largest country in the world, I think they're larger than China, right? Okay, so they're almost identical in population. India and China are neck and neck. You don't realize, but U.S. is the 3rd largest country in the world in terms of population. It's also the 4th largest country in terms of size. So yeah, Walmart is the largest private company. Public company. The largest public company in the world. Amazon is the 2nd largest public company in the world. And everybody else on the list is, well, except Foxconn in Taiwan, they're a public company. They're not state-owned. So you can see state-owned right here, which means the state, the government owns them. Department of Defense is 2.9 million. Okay. Following is the list of Fortune 500 companies providing the most jobs worldwide. A Fortune 500. UPS. BYD. Is that Boyd Gaming? That's old, I believe. India passed that. India did pass them, right? I thought India was largest. This says as of July 2024, which didn't even happen yet. July 2024. So I guess they're in it. Okay, here we go. This is updated July 2023. I mean, they're almost identical. I mean, but India keeps growing and China is getting smaller each year. Do they still have that thing in place where you can't have more than one child in China? Is that still like a law? Okay, the Chinese one-child policy was announced in late 2015 and it formally ended in 2016. Beginning in 2016, China's government allowed all families to have 2 children. Also, they still kind of limit it, like 2 children. Then in 2021, 3 children. See, in the U.S., you can have like 50 children if you want. But the one-child policy, I thought that was like from the 1980s. This says it was announced in 2015. Maybe it was re-announced. China has just come out and said they overstated their census. China overstated their numbers. That's unlike China. Never overstates numbers. They're always so on the game with reporting the correct numbers. That's the first time I heard that before. Yeah, 1980s. I remember when I was a kid, like learning about that in school. Like they were saying like no one's gonna have an aunt or uncle in China because nobody has a brother or sister. So you have kids, and there'll never be an aunt or uncle for your kids because you're the only child. So that kind of resonated with me. That was a good left an impression. They shot themselves in the foot with one-child policy. Long term, they would be better off with a bigger population. Yeah, always the bigger the better. Like we'll figure it out. You know, the world will figure out how we can keep that many people in one place, but we can figure out ways to make room or expand. Things evolve. DEO, they sell liquors. DEO. Diageo. Diageo. That's the British company. I have a lot of tabs I've hidden. So Diageo, is that a good stock? Does anybody hear of that? You know, the way I started my YouTube channel, how my channel evolved, it was during COVID and I was home and, bored to death. So I joined Facebook investing groups because I figured I'll just talk to other people about investing, maybe learn something. And then I was like answering questions, of course, and asking questions. And then so some people had like specific questions. So I tried to use my phone to answer the questions. And then I just started making a video and then just sending it to those people, like giving them a link to the video, like explaining like whatever topic they were asking. And then I thought I'll just start making videos and see if I can make money from it. So that's how it evolved. So somebody just recently, I'm not that active on it anymore, but in this Facebook group, they ask a question, like they go, "How do you read a bank's financial statements?" And he put a screenshot, and I just responded. He didn't even ask a question. He just, "How do you read it?" I don't know what he wanted to. I just kind of explained how a bank makes money. And then he asked a bunch of follow-up questions. And I just told him, just come to my live stream today and I'll answer whatever you want. Because it's hard to answer over chat. But I guess you're not here, James Baker. If you're here, James, let me know and I could bring up the financials you were just you're asking about, because I don't even know what company this is. He just put a screenshot from some bank's I guess annual report. So I don't know what bank it is, but hey Scott, thanks for going live. So yeah, so James Baker, if you're here, let me know. I told him to come to the stream, but anyways, yeah. So DEO Diageo, hey Godskin, what's up? So 149.83. Does anybody have a small business here? Or does anybody ever look into buying a small business? I mean, the general rule, I think this is helpful too for investing. General rule is, say you had your own small business, whatever it was. Say you had a dry cleaner, or say you I don't know, a little grocery store. I don't know, just whatever the small business is. So generally, the way you value a small business is that it doesn't even matter how much let's just say you had $1 million of revenue. This is kind of like the basic way to value a small business. And let's just say your net income, like your profit, was $150,000, so 15% margin. So, I mean, the simple rule to value a small business is generally 1 to 3x profit. So depending on the type of business, I would say your business is worth anywhere from 150K to 450K. And a lot it's usually closer to 1x. So if you were looking to sell your business, you'd probably sell it for 150K. And the reason it's 1x of net income usually is because let's just use the laundromat. It's always a good example. So you had a laundromat, and we lived in the same town, and you had revenue of $1 million and profit of 150K. So the idea is that if I bought your business, I would probably have to do that as my main job. I would probably be running it and spending, a good 40, 50, 60 hours a week at the business. So if I bought your business, I would expect to make that same 150K myself. If it was which is a great return, it's 100% return, right? Because if I invest 150K to buy your business and I make 150K every year, my ROI is 100%. I get 100% return on investment. But it's the reason when we look at stocks, and then if a stock, you can add some zeros to make it realistic. You can pretend it's $1 billion of revenue, 150 million. We would never value it at 1 times. We would never say the business is worth 150K. Let's just pretend these are thousands. So $1 billion of revenue, 150 million of net income. We would usually say the business is probably trading at 10 or 15 times. Well, it's PE. Your earnings is 150K. So if I said your business is trading at 10 times earnings, so I value the stock at 1.5 billion market cap. So how come we don't value? How come it's so different with small businesses? Because with a stock, you don't do anything. I don't have to quit my job and spend all day because I bought a stock. it runs itself. The stock, the business runs itself. I have no risk. Even if the company gets sued, I don't lose anything except my stock, my purchase. But if I have a small business, gets sued, or there's a bunch of problems, so that's why generally stocks trade at a much richer valuation, because it's you don't spend time doing it. You don't have to take time out of your day because you bought a stock. I don't know how that started, but okay, let's get back to this. DEO. So 8.5 to 10. Let's start with the lower whack and see if we should raise it. $8.5 to 10. DEO. I hope they report their financials in US dollars. Let me know if you know if these are in pounds. No, it says US dollars. 3.2, 3.7, 3.7. Yeah, it looks like it's overvalued, at least according to the model. I'm at 105. They trade at 149. I never really looked at the stock. I've heard of it. PLC. PLC is a British thing. If you ever see PLC after the name of a company, it is a British company, because we don't have PLC in the US or any other country besides the UK. It stands for Public Limited Company. It's just a UK term. So if you ever see a stock, Diageo PLC, if your friend said, well, I wonder what country the stock, what country the stock is from, you would know it's a UK. It's from UK. You don't have to. Yeah, China is going to hurt a lot of countries' economies. I guess US the most. So you have to look at it like, what companies or what industries are more affected by Chinese? Like Apple is that's in the news a lot. That's highly affected. But if you're investing in a company that only sells domestically in the US, then no country really affects the stock. Maybe indirectly, it's affected, because if like your biggest customer, half their sales come from China, then your biggest customer may go out of business or not have any money to buy from you. This is always happens. It's like the same. It's the same song in a different tune. It's just China is always having problems, and then is always concerned. So you just got to kind of ignore these, the noise. It is big noise, but I just wanted to look at Diageo. Diageo, okay, it's a British alcoholic beverage company. Has 132 sites. It's a major distributor of Scotch whiskey and other spirits, distilleries. It produces 40% of all Scotch whiskey. Okay, Johnny Walker, that's a big name. I don't know J&B or Old Par, but maybe I don't drink whiskey, or maybe this is not a US. Okay, its leading brand. Okay, Guinness. If it sells Guinness, the country of Ireland will provide enough revenue to sustain the business. Smirnoff, Bailey's, Captain Morgan rum. Now, ChatGPT, I don't think it'd be better than. No, they don't own Budweiser. Budweiser, maybe they own a piece of Budweiser. Budweiser is a U.S. company. AB InBev now, because Anheuser-Busch merged with InBev. Diageo has London Stock Exchange. It's part of the FTSE 100. So the FTSE 100, it's like in the U.S. we say the S&P 500 or the Dow 30. In Britain they say the FTSE 100. It's like the same thing. It's just it's just like an index. Like an index is not a real thing. Like the S&P 500 is not like a real thing. It's just made up so we can track the U.S. economy. I mean, you could invest in the S&P 500 through an ETF, but there's no such thing as the S&P 500. It's not like a real thing. Is an invented name that was created by the branding of Wolf. In short, Meta, the metaverse, is BS and Facebook is history. So, Jerry Seinfeld, why would you say that? This channel, we're very bullish Meta. We don't talk negatively about Meta on this channel. Are we tracking the economy or are we tracking the currency debasement? What I don't know, what do you mean by that? Well, you may have to track currency depending on, but I think they're mainly focused on European sales. So I don't think there has as much foreign exchange risk. Are we tracking the economy? I think the S&P 500 is like a good gauge of the U.S. economy. I don't know about what you mean by currency debasement. S&P. It's 500. It's 500 large U.S. companies. They're not the 500 largest U.S. companies because there are some companies that are not on the list that are bigger than companies on the list, but they're 500 very, very, very large companies that are U.S. companies. So it's kind of like the best indicator of how, because that's really your economy is the companies, the biggest companies in your country control the economy pretty much, because they probably, I mean, to tell you the truth, there's probably 5 companies that control half of the sales in the U.S. But if you look at all top 500, that's like probably 99% of all sales are from those 500. Because if you have a small business, even if you have 10 million in sales, it's like nothing relative to the 40 or 50 trillion of sales or whatever it is. Well, the market cap is 43 trillion, which is bigger than most countries. And as you know, the U.S. has the biggest and best companies in the world. We spend so much money. We're not frugal at all. We're a huge country, and we overspend. So it's all about accumulation and buying stuff. So that's why if you're a company in any country, you want to sell in the United States because we have the deepest pockets. We have the most money. We have the richest people. What do you think about Roth IRAs? I talked about this last time, but this is, I hope I still. So don't listen to your financial advisor. I've had to educate many financial advisors on this topic, which is a little scary that they didn't understand this. But there's no difference between buying a Roth IRA, which is, they sell you pre-tax, not pre-tax, no taxes. No taxes when you take the money out. So like if you put 75K and say you did it over 10 years or whatever into a Roth, that means you have to pay taxes on the money. So if you make 100K at your job, right? Say you made 100K and you pay 25% in taxes. So that means 75% of your gross income goes back to you, right? So after taxes, you get 75K. So you can put your after-tax money into a Roth, which means when you retire and take the money out, you don't pay taxes when you take the money out. So if you put 75K into your Roth, but remember you pay taxes to put it in. So and let's just say, for example, over 20 years, it triples. It goes from 75K to 225K. And let's just say you're 65 now. You take the entire 225K out and you can use it. You don't have to pay any taxes on it because you already pay taxes when you put it in. Now, the way it works for a traditional IRA is you put the money in pre-tax. So if you made 100K at your job, right, and you put the entire 100K in, it's, you can do that, which is the same as putting 75K into a Roth, because you got to pay taxes for a Roth. And let's say the same thing, it tripled. So your 100K tripled to 300K. But you don't get 300K when you retire. You have to pay taxes. And I don't know the tax rate when you retire. Let's just say it's still 25%. It's still 25% the tax rate. So you would get 75% of that $300,000. So it doesn't matter what you do, whether you do a Roth or traditional. It's the same thing. The only difference is, which we can't predict, is if when you put the money in, your tax rate is higher. Say it's 35%. When you put the money in. I didn't have these formulas connected. Okay, let's just do even numbers, because okay, let's just pretend it's 20% when you put the money in. So with a Roth, you have a lower, you pay 20% in taxes. So if you make 100K at your job, you put 80K in, because you have to put it in after you pay your taxes. But if you did a traditional, say your wife did traditional, she can put her entire 100K in instead, but you only put 80K in. It's identical though. And say you both tripled your investments over 20 years. Now, if the tax rate is 25% when you retire, then it's better off for a Roth, because with the Roth, you see it tripled, you got 240. But the 300K, your wife who put her 100K in pre-tax, she has 300K, but she has to pay 25% taxes. So she gets 225 after taxes. So Roth is better in this situation. But what if when you retire, your tax rate is 15%, and when you put it in, when you're working, it's 25%. Then you're better off on traditional because you have more money after taxes, 255, where the Roth, 255, and the Roth you have 225. So it just depends on your, and I have no idea what your tax bracket will be when you retire. I probably could figure out now if you told me your salary and all this, you're married, blah, blah. But I guess the theory is that when you retire, you'll probably be at a lower tax bracket because you're not making any money. I don't know. But I don't know. Taxes may be 50%, like in Bermuda. Isn't it like 50%, or is that Singapore? Maybe tax is so high when you retire because we're in such a deficit. So you get killed from a traditional, but it would have been better off doing a Roth. How does that work if you don't pay taxes and the initial for a traditional IRA? Do you like deduct it or get credits? I mean, of course you have to pay taxes on your paycheck. Like you can't tell your boss, okay, I'm putting my paycheck into my IRA, so don't charge me any taxes. Can't do that. Your accountant will ask you before they do your taxes, they would say, did you contribute to a retirement account? How much, and what was a retirement account? And then they would adjust your taxes. So if you put a lot of money into a traditional IRA, you would get probably a tax refund that year because you can deduct a lot. Say in 1 year you put 10,000 into a traditional IRA in 1 year, and if your salary was 50,000, then you're going to get a nice check from the IRS because I could show you how the math works if you want. I mean, this is pretty much how it works. So your accountant would just go on their tax form or the way they fill out their taxes, or you can do that. And there's a box that says taxable income, so if you have a job, you make $50,000 in your gross income, that's your taxable income. If you have side jobs, if like I make $2,000 or $3,000 a year from YouTube, so my accountant would add that to my taxable revenue. Any revenue you get, if you do dog walking, any income you make is taxable. But let's just pretend you only have a job and you don't get any money from anywhere else. Because if you're a single mom, you might get money from your ex. That's taxable income. But let's just say you have a job, 50K. And then your job deducts 20% of your taxable income from your paycheck. So after taxes, you get $40,000 for the year. It's broken up by whatever, every other week you get a paycheck. Because based on the parameters you said when you got the job, that's how much taxes they'll take out. So you're after taxes, you get $40K for yourself. Now, if your accountant does your taxes, and say you have no deductions, everything is like nothing changed. You didn't spend any money anywhere else, because you could deduct taxes from a lot of different things. Say you had nothing like that. Your accountant would just file your taxes like this, and you probably wouldn't get anything back from the IRS because you paid the appropriate amount of taxes as you should. But if you tell your accountant, oh, I put 10K into traditional IRA, I mean, what they would just do is they would this is what actually happened, and they would have to do they would have to adjust it when they file your taxes. So when they file, your taxable income would decline. It would decline $10,000 because you get a tax deduction on that $10,000 you put into your IRA. And then say it's the same 20%. So you pay 20% of your taxable income. Say you're at that level. What would happen is I guess that wouldn't change. You would just get after you file your taxes a few weeks later, you would just get a check from the IRS for $2,000 because you overpaid. You paid $2,000 more in taxes than you should have. Because after your accountant did your taxes, he said, well, my client had a deduction of $10,000, so he should have paid $8,000, but he already paid $10,000 to you throughout the year from his job. So you would just get a check for $2,000. And if the opposite happened, I mean, it's possible your job didn't take 20% out for taxes. They took more out or less out. They would just figure that out. If I was Jesus, I would make all labor under 100K tax-free. You pay tax when you withdraw in the future. Only traditional you pay taxes when you withdraw. With a Roth, you do not pay taxes when you withdraw. You already pay the taxes when you put it in. That's the selling point. Like, you don't have to pay taxes. And I always thought that was the greatest thing in the world when I did the math, until I did the math and realized it's the same thing. The problem with traditional IRA is the schedule. You are forced to remove it in unknown future tax rates. The Roth are tax-free money kitties. Okay, the problem with a traditional IRA is, okay, so I'm not sure you're forced. I don't know if that's true. I don't think you're forced to take money out of a traditional. Social Security, you're forced. You can elect to get it at 62 years. So if you say, okay, I want to get Social Security at 62, then you may get, I'm just making this up, $1K a month. But if you say, oh, actually, no, I'm going to wait till I'm 65. If you wait till you're 65, then you get $1,200 a month. And if you wait till you're 68, you get, I don't think you can go, I don't know how high you can go, but I don't think you can keep going. Then you get like $1,300 a month. Okay, so once you're 73, you must start taking annual. Okay. Honestly, redistributing less than 50% of Americans are saving for retirement. Yeah, most people don't have anything in retirement anyway, so it's kind of a moot point for them. I mean, I get concerned with that too. Like, am I saving all this money and then I'm going to get railroaded and, gonna get like railed from behind from the government, because I'm like, because that's really, if you are a responsible person, if you save and you work hard, you're kind of getting screwed over. If you're irresponsible, you get a lot of benefits without doing much work. But if we're all irresponsible, then the country's terrible. Yeah, you have to take a requirement of distribution. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay. Every time I start talking about like these like off topics, like the taxes, IRA, anything like different, I lose a lot of people. I don't think people like really like my regulars are always stick around. Like it's kind of like a, we're just hanging out kind of thing. But if for new people, I don't think they really like that stuff. But anyways, but it's interesting. But one last point to drive home: if somebody says like, "Oh, because I hear this all the time, like say a solar company says, "Oh, if you buy solar from us and you spend $40K on our solar product, you get a $40,000 discount, $40,000 more in taxes." A lot of people say this, like, but that's not true. It doesn't make any sense. You only get whatever your tax deduction is. Say you did spend $40K in solar, and if you pay 30% of taxes, then you get. Did I do that right? Say if you pay 30% of taxes on your regular taxable income, then you get $12,000 back from the government. So it's the deduction times your tax rate. So if you donated like $1,000 to Goodwill in clothing, you get $300 back from the government, because it reduces your taxable income by $300, which ends up giving you money back. I mean, you might not get anything back because you might have underpaid your taxes at your job. Say you made $50,000 at your job, right? And you should have paid $10,000 taxes, but you made it where your job takes out less taxes, which you could do. It's not illegal. And if you paid $5,000 taxes at your job, right? You should have paid $10,000, but you paid $5,000, and you got $45,000 after taxes. And then your accountant files your tax returns, and you tell him, "Oh, I put $10K into a traditional IRA." What he would do is he would lower your taxable income. He would calculate your taxes at $8,000, and you have to pay $3,000. And then you get pissed off at your accountant saying, Why do I have to pay $3,000? Why did I do the IRA in the first place? I thought I was gonna get money back from the government. I mean, and then your accountant hopefully could explain to you, well, if you never did the IRA, you would have to pay $10,000. So you should have paid $10,000 taxes. So you would have had to pay the government $5,000 after doing your taxes, but instead it's $3,000. And the reason it's $3,000 instead of $5,000 is because we did a deduction. You can't deduct if you take the standard deduction. If anyone in chat did not know that. Yeah, most accountants just apply the standard deduction to people. Like most individuals just get the standard deduction. What's the rate? What is? Okay, so 13. So let's just pretend you're single. The standard deduction is $13,850. So that's for single people. It's double if you're married. So if you made like $100,000 at your job, your accountant would just give you the standard deduction, which is a $13,850 deduction. So even if you put $10,000 into an IRA, it wouldn't even matter because he would just give you the $13,000 deduction, which is more than $10,000. It's just an easy way quicker way to do taxes. If you didn't want the standard deduction, of course you wouldn't want the standard deduction if you say you bought solar for your home, which is $40K. I think that's how much we paid. So obviously you wouldn't want the standard deduction because you want to get $40,000 deduction, not the $13,850. So he would have to itemize your deductions. So if it was just this one, it would be easy. But that's why they don't like to itemize, because it could be a lot of like $700 in goodwill. You donated your car, but it was only worth $1,200, the Kelly Blue Book value. And when they itemize, it's like it takes them a long time, and then they end up usually it's lower than $13,850. Does that make sense? Did I say it too fast? Because like when my wife says, "Oh, we need to get more debt so we can get deductions," and I said, "Well, you're just going to get debt and pay interest on the debt, and you won't even get any deductions because we get a standard deduction anyway." She doesn't really have much of a response for that. I'm in Arizona and gas prices are going up here. Yeah, they're going up everywhere, right? So if you could predict the future and you know what your tax rate will be in the future, then yeah. If you think your tax rate will be lower with a Roth when you retire, which it probably will be, but who knows, then go with the Roth. But you can't even do the Roth if you make over a certain amount of money, so it doesn't even matter. Like I don't think I could do a Roth. You have to make under income for a Roth. Well, it's still pretty high income. 153K. That's pretty high income. But it's if you're married, I used to max out all my retirements for I have a lot in retirement. I have like most of my money in retirement because I maxed out for my first 20 plus years. Now I don't even put in my retirement anymore. Now that I know the math, I don't know. I don't really see the value. I'd rather have access to my money. CBX. Yeah, he used 3.2 and 3.7. Did you put revenue for DEO? No, I didn't put revenue because it depends what DCF I use. But the way you calculate the future value of a company, you project the cash flows. So I put their free cash flows in, and projected that out. But if I don't know the free cash flows, then I would have to use revenue and calculate the free cash flows. So these are free cash flows based on analyst estimates for the next 3 years. So any other stocks before I lose too many people? Meta. I just bought some more Meta because it came down to like 480s. So I got some more Meta. Look at that. They pay a dividend now. $2. Bitcoin, that's a great investment. It's always going up over time. I never bought it, but I guess I regret it. I don't know. I mean, I have a lot of money in Meta, so I don't really like Bitcoin so much, but I think it's a good investment. I think it'll go up over time, but I don't buy it. No, this is Boyd, BYD. You said BYD. Did you mean BYD? This? BYD.to? This. But it's not trading in the US. What's the ticker? I don't get back to me what the ticker is. I'm not even sure. Coupang is a good company, right? That's a good Chinese company. CPNG. I really like, they're like Amazon on steroids. They have the greatest logistics network. Coupang. It's Coupang, like P-O-N-G. $1.2. I thought this would be in Chinese yuan. 1.2, 1.6, 2.1. So it looks like it's a little overvalued. BYDDY. I'm at 16. They're trading at 18. But I thought they would report their numbers in Chinese yuan. Oh, they're Korean. They're not Chinese. What am I saying? Like if you order something on the app, it's like, I think it's like a 99% chance it will come same day. Founded in 2010. It's just amazing how you can get, because it's hard to have so many distribution centers within an hour of everybody. But you could do this in South Korea. You can't really do it in the United States. You can't have a distribution center within an hour of everybody because it's so spread out, the US. Maybe maybe 90% of the population, you can have a distribution center within an hour drive. But there's just certain places it's just so hard to get to in the U.S. While you on left lights, I know I was thinking South Korean wons. Found it. I should have known this because that's why. Oh, it's video streaming. What am I thinking? What company was I thinking about? There's a company that delivers like food or products. It is this. The company's Rocket Delivery Network provides same day or next day delivery of more than 5 million unique items. They claim that 99.6% of its orders are delivered within 24 hours. So 70% of Koreans live within 10 minutes of a Coupang logistics center. I guess you can do this in South Korea. I guess it must be so densely populated, the country. Because, like, you know, the most densely populated state? In the U.S.? When I say densely populated, the most people within a square mile. Does anybody know the most densely populated state? So if you want to do like a delivery service, like a logistics service like Amazon, pick a country that's very densely populated, like Singapore, Malta, Bangladesh. You know, I'm from New York, and New York is not even close. New York City is the most densely populated city, but New York is so big. Especially, it's upstate New York is just so big, and there's not that many people in upstate New York, so it's not densely populated at all. No, it's not Hawaii. I'm across the lake from New York. Yeah, I went to college in Buffalo. I'm from New York City. So if you go upstate, you can drive for you could literally, it takes you 10 hours to get from, well, it took me 8 hours. But I mean, from one point of New York to another, it could take 10, 12 hours. So it's a lot of people. It's very spread out. New York State, that is. Not New York City, of course, but. Oh, you live. Are you in Amherst or Cheektowaga or Tonawanda? Is that what it's called? Tonawanda? I mean, because University of Buffalo, you know, the new campus was in Amherst, which it wasn't even in Buffalo. Oh, you're in Canada. Okay. We used to drive to Canada all the time because we were under 21 most of the time in college. So in Canada, you can drink at 18, maybe 19. And there's that casino that opened up while I was in Buffalo. There was a casino that opened up right over the border. And we went to that casino a lot. But all the nightclubs were 18 to drink. So no, I don't think you. No, you definitely didn't need a passport. I didn't have a passport. You need a passport, really, to get into Canada? What's the world coming to? Yeah, Coupang. It's a great company, but I've heard a lot of negative things. Like after I did the video, some people were telling me how terrible the company is and all these negative things. Worker well-being. Coupang has been involved in complaints by activists and families of workers who allegedly died from overwork. Out of the 9 deaths, 5 are connected to overnight work as they passed away during or imagine dying from working too hard. You gotta be like I understand if you die like falling down like 100-foot, whatever, or like dying in if you work in the mines, that makes sense. People die, but just from working hard, you gotta be so exhausted. Two subcontractors have died of cardiovascular disorders such as heart attack. Coupang had recorded no work accidents, work accident deaths since 2011. BYDDY 5180. BYDDY. So if you want to get exposure to, because China likes to keep it in-house, they want to like support Chinese companies, and they make it really hard to support non-Chinese companies, especially U.S. companies. So, and they have a big economy, so it's a good place to 43, 44, 48. So if you ever want to convert from Chinese yuan to US dollar, just divide by 7. So 43 divided by 7 is 6. So 6 billion US dollars. So I'm at 70. I'll raise the whack a little, 62. Seems like a good value. What if we get a deval? A deval? A devaluation? It's found in 95. It produces vehicles. BYD Electronic produces electronic parts assembly. It's the largest EV manufacturer. I thought Tesla was the largest. Since 2000, Boyd's automotive business has contributed about 50% of its revenue. They also produce rechargeable batteries, mobile phone batteries, electric vehicle batteries, and bulk storage. That's where the growth is, in the batteries. The cars are like a lost leader kind of thing. Selling batteries, especially for phones and other EVs, or even semiconductors. This is a good it's a good stock to buy. This is what you want to get. Okay, so it started trading in 2009. They've done a stock split. 1 year after they started trading, they did a stock split. But it went down. I wonder why they did a stock split and it went down. That's weird. So pre-COVID, they were $11. They also pay a dividend. It peaked at 80. But Chinese stocks, although I do think it's undervalued, I think it'll come down to like 30. Because Chinese stocks, because when a stock comes down, it usually stays above their like kind of like from prior years. They usually stay above that price. I'm talking about good companies, of course. So it's going to stay above like the 10, 15 mark. But I could see it coming down to like 25 or 30 before it bounces back up again. And Chinese stocks generally have a lot of like headwind pressure, a lot of challenges. But yeah, this looks like a really good stock to buy. The idea of owning equity in a foreign communist nation sounds like stupidity to me. Yeah, it has been the past few years, stupidity, because they just keep going. They don't perform well. But if you were able to get it pre-COVID, for $10, you're up quite a bit. What's other big Chinese companies? Wow. In the past 5 years, Alibaba is down 60%, and this stock is up 320%. God, Baba just can't catch a break. That's crazy, right? Panda Express. Who owns Panda Express? It's this Panda Restaurant Group. Oh, it's private. Can you do some technical analysis on this one? On this stock? So the RSI is 45 for this stock. Which is, it looks like it's been, well, it was in the low 30s in the beginning of the year. So it's coming up, but it's still lower than kind of like that. You want to be below 70 for it to be a good value. They pay a really small dividend. Okay. Okay. So BYD is the largest EV company in the world. It has the biggest market in the world, China. China is the largest battery electric vehicle company in the world. BYD sells a lot of photovoltaic EVs. hope I'm saying that right. Oh, plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. What am I saying? Okay. So the hybrids. They sell the most hybrids in the world. The yellow is the hybrid, the plug-in. Plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, these batteries. If I was going to buy an EV, I'd buy a plug-in because I'd be a little concerned that I can't drive long distances. FCEV is fuel cell electric vehicles. Fuel cell are powered by hydrogen. They are more efficient than conventional ICE cars. No harmful emissions. They only emit water vapor. Does anybody have a fuel cell? Scott's Miracle Grow? Is that what you mean by Scott's? So Volkswagen, if you want an EV play, but you want the safety of an ICE company, go with Volkswagen. GM is not doing so bad. 568,000 EVs. Most of them were battery. Stellantis, the biggest car company in the world. No. Toyota is the biggest. They're second biggest. Hyundai, BMW, Geely. And then Kristen Wiig play that character on SNL, Geely. Yeah, that's another Chinese EV company. Don't you think Tesla should make a hybrid car or partner with one? I think that would make a lot of sense if they did. But Boyd only made less than 1 million cars. I mean, doesn't like GM make 1 million a week? Okay, maybe not that much. Toyota's at 11 million. So they make 1 million a month, about. I think I think if you really like Tesla, and I don't like Tesla, if you really like Tesla, they have to scale their battery or the charging business, because that's a really scalable business with high margins, high returns. They can't ever be a true $1 trillion company by selling cars. It's just, you can't do it. Just the profits aren't there. It's very expensive to make cars. It's not easily scalable as batteries and charging stations are. I mean, they have a ton of revenue, so that's good. 100 billion. 15% margins, which are good, I guess. 15%. But for 100 billion of revenue, wait. So they have 4.4 billion free cash flow. It's the $97 billion of revenue, $4.4 billion free cash flow. But who's a good comparison? Like what? Not that you can compare these companies, but I'm just saying, like, so this is why I like Meta. Like, they have a little more revenue in Tesla, not that much more. I'm surprised it's only, but look at they have 44 billion of free cash flow. That's how you run a business, on cash flow, not really profits, right? So they have 10 times the amount of free cash flow, but only 30% more revenue. Like, it's a tough business to, and that's not bad, I think. Let's look at Toyota. .0066. I thought I did it right. Oh, okay, I know. So they have 288 billion of revenue, US dollars. And they lose money, Toyota. They have negative free cash flow, so we can't even look at it. Let's look at let's look at all automobile manufacturers. This will be better. We can get a better sense of. So free cash flow margin. Of course, Ferrari is a kind of a different animal because they have a really specialized kind of car, so their margins are much higher than because they sell their cars for super premium prices. Hey, Fuhad, what's up? Good morning or good afternoon. Stellantis has pretty good margin, 7%. Li Auto is 36%. How could that be so high? Most of these you can't even look at. They're negative. How could Li Auto be so high? 36%? It could just be something odd happened in the most recent quarter or more recent year. Oh yeah, what's the question? Li, 74 billion. That's Chinese yuan. Yeah, they usually have like 2 billion of free cash flow, 5 billion. They must have had some type of like a really big like income statement item that's kind of skewing the numbers. Because if you look at last year, 45 billion and 2.2, so 2.2 over 45. So it's 4.9%. So I would ignore this. This is just kind of like a blip or something. But Ferrari, I think, is accurate. They probably have those type of margins most years. Because they have about 3.5 billion up to 6 billion of revenue. And yeah, they always generate a lot of, except in 2020, but usually a lot of free cash flow. But yeah, I mean, even the best companies are at like 4 or 5, maybe 6%. We talk about KKR or TPG or OWL or Box or BLK. Also, that's a lot of companies. Yeah, we could talk about some of those. Let's look at the margins. I know every industry is different. This gives you an idea of like, even if the company becomes really successful and starts generating a lot of revenue, like what is the potential? So if you put, obviously Nvidia has the potential, they've proved it, but like Google's 23%, Meta's 33%. Like if you're in the single digits in margin, you'd have to have like $1 trillion of revenue just to become worth your stock price. Who is your favorite investor? Oh, Warren Buffett, of course. He's the only investor I trust. AHO. What the hell is AHO? Howard Marks? Yeah, he's good too. Yeah, a lot of good investors out there. AHO. Oh, that's. Oh, you're Dutch. Am I a fan of credit or debt investing? I mean, it depends what stage of your business, but debt is a great way to scale and grow because it's cheap. But if you're not profitable, debt is not a good choice. $30.28. Since BRK does have line to BRK, I was saying a few years ago, go to BRK. Like it's just such a good investment. That's one of my better investments. I'm up like 130%. Really, free cash flow is really dropping. 2.3, 2.3, 2.4. What do you mean? I suffer from unit bias? Unit bias. What does that mean? You only buy one share? Complete a unit of a given task. Oh yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Unit bias. Like it's hard to like move on to the next unless you completed everything and you understand everything. Although for business, I'm not like that. I like to just start moving forward with the process and not procrastinate. So this looks pretty good. I'm at 40. They're trading at 30. I think I looked at the stock once. Are you Dutch? Didn't you pick other Dutch companies? Dutch Belgian multinational retail wholesale company. Its name comes from the merger of. Okay, if you want to. Oh yeah, Meta. That's my number one stock. I'm very bullish Meta. I'm up over 200% on my 2017 Meta stock. If you want a safe investment, you can't get much safer than a supermarket because food is not going away. Will always be around. There's always demand, and supermarkets, there's always demand for supermarkets. If you have a restaurant, things change. People they make less money. They might not go out to a restaurant. But supermarkets, regardless of how much people make, they will always go to supermarkets. That's for sure. It's a pretty big. They have 7,600 locations. This is a pretty big chain. Yeah, Cisco is a good one. I don't know how to say this name though. But I've seen it before. I don't. Conan Clicker. So what do you guys think? Any trucking? Trucking is a good industry. Yeah, railroads, trucking, transportation. Lots of demand for moving goods from one location to another. And of course, deliveries, things like that. XPO. So revenue is pretty flat, going up a little bit. They're profitable. That's good. Well, this is something to consider. If you see a company with a lot of capex spend, that could mean the stock will go up a lot in the future. Because generally, companies spending capex, obviously, to grow their business and to add, sell more products. So capex is kind of like an early point. It's kind of an indicator of things to come in the future. So the sales will not be there. If a company spends a ton in capex like they're doing, the sales won't hit for another year or 2 or 3. So that's why you pick up the stock now while it's low, and then in a few years when they start producing more stuff and selling more stuff, the stock goes up a lot. That didn't work out for Meta, unfortunately. They spent a ton of capex on a metaverse, but the stock did go up a lot. But you see, the metaverse is so tied in and integrated with AI. There's so many similarities. So that really is going to benefit them with this whole AI boom. And they're still spending a ton in capex. Supermarkets have very slim profit margins. Yeah, they have the slimmest profit margins. 1-2%. They make their money on bulk, selling a lot. You can have like a ton of revenue, but your profits aren't that high relative to, like a software company that can have amazing margins. Like look at Nvidia. They're like margins are like 40%. That's why the stock is so high. And 60 billion of revenue, 30 billion of profit. That's like a 50% net profit margin, which is just unreal. 50%. 50% is good for gross profit margin. And look at their free cash flow, 27 billion. They don't have much capex spend because they don't really manufacture. Taiwan semiconductor manufacturers. I'm so annoyed. I'm so stupid. I didn't get more into semiconductors. It totally went over my head. And I own Micron. I sold my Intel, but I own Micron. 77 RSI, so it's getting a little rich. I think in 2020, I bought Micron, I think at 40. But, I did buy Meta, so I'm up just as much in Meta as I am as if I would have held my Micron. And Berkshire, I'm up a lot. Semis are cyclical. They will be buying opportunities. Yeah. There was a buying opportunity for Nvidia when it went down to 200 billion. But the thing is, when a stock goes down, like remember when Nvidia was like 500 billion or something like that? And then it went down to like 200 billion. It went down to 120. I thought it's just, you don't buy it because you think it's going to keep going down. So you always wait. And then before you know it, you totally miss the boat. Because if it's 112 and then it hits like 150, you won't buy it at 150 because you're like, oh, I could have just bought it at 112. I'm going to wait. And then you never buy it. Dollar cost averaging. Semis are totally cyclical. Long a good amount of semiconductor companies. Made a couple of videos about it. You made a couple of videos, Maxi Wits. You should be a guest host on my live stream. You can promote your channel. What's your channel name? Oh, Moxie. Moxie? That's probably not your channel name, right? That's probably just your name. Oh, it is. You should you should co-host. I'm always looking for co-hosts. And we could talk about anything. Well, you're better looking than me. So you got that going for you. You have more hair, a lot more hair. I seen this thumbnail. Like somebody created a thumbnail for me once. It looked similar to this. Did you pay someone to get this? The people who make thumbnails probably have a database of thumbnails they just pull from and just. Anti-crypto. Crypto's the worst. Did you guys follow Dogecoin Millionaire? That guy, he put like 200,000 into Dogecoin when Doge was 4 cents. Canva? Yeah. Do I use Canva? No, I use Snappa. I don't even spend much time anymore. Like I just have these 1 dozen thumbnails, and I just use any of these, and I just put the logo on. I used to pay someone $10. I paid people $5 a thumbnail, $10. Somebody was charging $20, and I never really saw any difference with views. You remember that guy, the Dogecoin Millionaire? He got Doge, I think, at 6 cents. That was his cost basis. And he put all his money into Doge, and he took on all this credit card debt, and he just kept piling into Doge. And then he went from like 200K in Doge to like 2 million. Remember when Elon went on SNL and talked about Doge? This was the peak of Doge, 57 cents. And then he held on, and he was still at around 1 million even when it dropped. But then he kept holding on, and then he got back to where he was initially. And everybody called him like the biggest idiot. And now look at him. Now he's back up to 2 million. Because he he ended up buying other coins too. I don't know why it's so interesting to follow this guy, but I do. You probably do too, right? Dogecoin Millionaire. He has a lot more subs than me. He doesn't make many videos though. Maybe he could be on, do a live stream with me. But crypto's doing great. I mean, look at Bitcoin. It's all, I think it hit its all-time high recently. Everything is just going through the roof. Every stock. Finance junkies. I don't think I'm entertaining, so I don't really get much interest. Oh, they don't have many 4,300 subs. They can't be that entertaining if they only have 4,300 subs. I was playing League of Legends in early 2020, and this guy I met tried to convince me to buy Shiba Inu. He told me him and his boss were going to pump it. He said he worked construction, but he didn't. Yeah, Shiba Inu is how is that performing compared to other? Do you know how many cryptocurrencies there are? There's like 50,000 different cryptocurrencies. It's almost. Let's see how it's performing compared to Doge. They probably moved together because it seems like, I mean, everything's trading at its all-time high. Look at gold. Gold is up. So in 2 years, Bitcoin is up 50%. Let's go 5 years. Shiba is up 1,400% in 5 years. Is that right? How could Bitcoin be down in 5 years? I think that chart's wrong, but Bitcoin is up 50% in 2 years. Doge is up 37% in 2 years, and Shiba 11%. In 1 year, it's pretty much the bottom about a year ago. So in 1 year, Bitcoin is up 150%. Doge and Shiba 170%. Year to date, look at Shiba, 200% year to date. Capital Mindset. Yeah, I'll check it out. That sounds interesting. Wow, Shiba is really up a lot recently. Okay, I guess this was fun. FTX. Oh, he was fraud. Did your friend go to jail? Like Sam Bankman-Fried? Okay. I think there's 23,000 cryptocurrencies. He deleted you? How many What's the name of U.S. regular currencies? There's a word for it. Like, I can't think of that word. What's that word for U.S. dollar and UK? Fiat. Fiat. Thank you. How many fiat? It's hard to think of things when the camera's in your face. You're not as like relaxed, and I think that's like 200, 180, like the number of countries, or that's close to the number of countries. 180 fiat, and there's 23,000. I don't think I'm on camera. Does anybody want to be a guest host right now? If you want to be a guest host, you can join the live stream and talk like I'm talking. 23,000 cryptocurrencies. I think Bitcoin's here to stay, but it's just way too many. Everybody is like creating their own cryptocurrency. But this happens when there's like when there's money to be made. It's kind of like anytime there's a new industry, there's a lot of people competing to make money. But it's like when cars first came out, you know. Oh, somebody wants to join. I wonder who this is. Noto? Are they there?
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah. Who's this?
It's hi there, guys. How you doing?
Wait, say your name again?
It's hi there, guys. Like,
oh, hi there, guys. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we gotta. Usually, people are scared to be co-hosts. Hi there, guys.
I just popped in for fun.
Yeah. Thanks for joining. So, what's your favorite stocks, or any opinions on stocks you like?
Right now I'm like I have my like dividend, my long holds that I've just been like dripping forever, and right now though for the last about year I've been in the Bitcoin miners, but I'm mostly just cash actually. Like my largest position is a money market fund.
Why do people do that? Is it just? Do you think it's going to be a crash, and you're just waiting for the crash? Is that why?
I personally think a liquidity crisis will come. It's only a matter of time, and I think the valuations on a lot of things are just like so hefty right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know people who are doing that money market, but I guess it's possible you can time the market, and but
I've been a bear forever. I've been a bear forever, so like the idea like I actually get paid to hold cash now is like, it's great.
You do get 4 or 5%, which is more than usual, but I made almost 50% this year. on my stocks.
Yeah, my
So,
miners are up more than that.
yeah.
And
So
and if you
imagine,
like, but the thing is, I wouldn't put all my money into something like that. But if like my minor positions, it's actually grown quite a bit. But like if you were to factor in like how my whole portfolio is growing, like that minor has like made me chug. Like I'm up huge, and then the money market fund just kind of like keeps me balanced.
so which you're talking about crypto mining? Is that what you're talking about?
Bitcoin mining, yeah. I
Bitcoin.
had CleanSpark, Mara, and Hut 8. CLSK is
I've
the
heard of the first two. What was the last one?
Hut 8.
Oh, okay, I think I've heard of that. Yeah.
They
Definitely.
CleanSpark just kind of they did I think they're doing like a 1.3 billion ATM, but they started selling like a week before they announced it. Like the insiders just started selling a week before they announced it. So my
Wow.
CleanSpark position though is up so much I don't think I'll ever sell it. But it's
Yeah.
like pretty
Why?
beaten.
That's how I feel with Meta. I get like married to a stock like that. Like I bought an IPO. I made so much money on it. It's like I can't like. It's hard for me to let it go.
Yeah.
Even. I mean, I guess I could, if I really wanted to justify selling it, I might be able to. But like, there's so many positives with it. I have a hard time. Um, yeah, it's just like it's like a part of me.
Yeah,
Um,
I totally feel that. Especially when you got that like low average, you're just like, I'll never get this again. Literally.
yeah, and it's nice to look at your portfolio and see like these huge gains. It's a good feeling. Like you feel like a you feel like a brilliant investor, and then
Right?
when it goes down, you feel like an idiot.
I
But
yeah, I sold out of my oil too soon. I wish I would have never sold my oil position. Literally
what,
sold 2 weeks before Putin invaded fucking Ukraine.
yeah, but I mean everything's up, so it seems like whatever you. I mean, what did you own in the oil? What oil stocks?
I'm Canadian, so I owned my biggest position was Suncor, and
That's not
my
fun.
second was CNQ, and then I had a few of the little like smaller juniors. But
Yeah, no, Suncor is a great company. Yep, there's some
CNQ,
really good. Yeah, Canadian
CNQ,
Natural.
yeah, that whew, sold that way too early. Like my average, because I kept buying too. My average for CNQ was in the 20s. When I
Wow.
first bought it, it was in the teens. I was buying IMO for like $15. Oh, that's USD. Yeah, I'm on the Canadian side, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if I mean you need money, obviously. It's because when market crashes, we tend to not have any money to buy unless you
Hmm.
happen to be sitting on it. But if you were able to sit on cash in April 2020 when oil became negative, you could be
Yeah,
very
like
well off.
I was sitting on a pile of cash when that market took a dip, and I bought a bunch of things, but my largest positions were definitely oil, and then I sat on them for like 2 years.
Also, maybe your cash strategies it makes sense. Maybe it's working.
Well, I'm like I said, I'm a perma bear, long perma bear. Like I'm wrong most of the time.
I'm always right unless I'm wrong. Uh, kind of like predicting a stock crash. Like you can predict it every day, and eventually you will be right.
Exactly. Well, like right now though, we have an inverted yield curve, and we're hitting all-time highs. There's only like 3 times in the last like 30, 40 years where we've had an inverted yield curve and hit all-time highs. And that's like 2000, 2008, and 2020. So not necessarily the best years for stocks. The next.
Yeah. I don't really follow that stuff so much, and I'm not even sure if I could explain. Can you explain what an inverted yield curve is, and like what the?
Yeah, for sure. So generally, like if I'm going to lend you money for a shorter period of time, I'm going to ask for a lower interest rate than if I was to lend it to you for a longer period of time, right? If I'm going to lend you money for a month, maybe I'll say 5%. But if I'm going to lend it to you for 30 years, maybe I want 10%. So you normally have this like upward slope where short-term rates are below longer-term rates. With an inverted yield curve, short-term rates are higher than long-term rates. So essentially, banks lend less, and for whatever reason, the bond market thinks that inflation expectations in the future are going to be less. So, yeah.
So
the cost of capital over time, essentially.
Shit, what's the name? That happened with. That's how that bank went bankrupt. Wait.
SVB.
Yeah, SVB.
SVB actually had a duration risk. They have a bunch of deposits, which are called like demand deposits, and that's a liability that someone can come and essentially say, "Give it to me right now." But when the bank takes your cash, they buy something with it. They don't just hold the cash. And what SVB did was they bought long-dated bonds. So when the interest rates went up, the price of the bonds went down, but their demand deposits, the liability, was way higher than the asset that they bought it with. So essentially, someone put $10 in SVB. SVB bought a bond that went down to $5. When the guy tried to withdraw his $10, SVB didn't have the cash anymore after they sold that bond for $5. But the Federal Reserve came in, bailed out the whole bank, so everyone was made equal. So
that's the how the U.S. does it, you know.
Bank term funding program. Yeah, that just ended this year. But that kicked off this like current like bull leg we're in. This leg of the bull run.
You think that's what started it, or?
Oh yeah, they like SVB was in a problem on a Friday, and on a Monday it was fully bailed out and cleaned up with a huge. Like I think they said that they were gonna let that bank term funding program, essentially a window at the Fed, go to be like trillions of dollars if need be. So it's essentially like, we'll give you as much money as you want, which is like huge liquidity, right?
That's how you pump up a market. You flood it with cash. So that's one way to boost the economy,
right?
But so SVB, they receive deposits from their customers, and they use those deposits, which is short-term debt for SVB, because when you deposit
liabilities,
money, when you deposit money in a bank, it's considered liability.
It's your asset, but their liability
for the bank, because they owe you the money, and they took that money and they bought a lot of long dated debt with it.
Yeah,
and
normally they collect the spread, right? The long dated will pay the long dated debt instrument that they bought will pay higher than what they pay you for their deposit. So they'll collect that spread. But on an inverted yield curve, the person who has the deposit, they want more money than what the long dated asset that or the long dated debt instrument that they bought pays out. So people end up taking their cash and going somewhere else, putting it in a money market fund. So then SVB has to sell that long dated bond. or Treasury or whatever, and
and they get stuck selling it at possibly a loss, and
and then you don't have the money to like that 1-to-1. You have to sell more than what they actually deposited, and then like that's fine and dandy as long as like no one else continues to ask for their money. But the problem with SVB was, I think it was something like $40 billion tried to leave in 2 days or something like that, and it was just like no way.
And that's what they call a bank run.
Yep.
If people get scared that a bank will go out of business, they don't want to wait. They just want to get their money out as soon as possible and put it somewhere safe, like at a Chase Manhattan Bank that is probably the most safe bank next to the federal government. But we're fortunate enough in our country where the Fed just was a backstop for everybody, so nobody lost anything, even if you had above the $250,000 FDIC limit.
I don't think that's necessarily a good thing, though.
No, it's not. But that's what we did because we didn't want to scare. Like the last thing the federal government wants is us to go into like some type of recession, or there'd be a lot of fear. So they use but that's not exactly. It's a bad thing because it leads to more problems somewhere else. Because the money has to come from somewhere. Anytime the government bails out a bank or these big institutions, it comes from us, the taxpayer. So,
and I think like the SVB clientele was, it wasn't your mom and pop who's putting their like pension checks in there and they got their little savings. It was like rich people and startups. And startups like notoriously burn cash, and rich people, if they can move their $1 billion to the different bank and collect 2% more, that's a lot of money. So there's quite the incentive.
Yeah. Because most banks, like a regional bank, like a small community bank, if it had like 100 million
depositors, different depositor demographics, clientele.
It's probably likely that of the 100 million, like 90% of it is under the $250,000 limit.
Exactly. And those guys aren't going to run if they think the bank's going under.
Most people just have like 10, 20, 30,000 at the bank. There's not like super rich people like at Silicon Valley. But at Silicon Valley, they had it was like upside down. Instead of 90 million FDIC insured, there's only 10 million. Something like that. So it's just a different animal, that bank. But that's a concern. That's a big concern. People think there could be a lot of regional bank defaults due to commercial real estate.
Yeah.
But so that I think I understand the fear, but like when you have these huge banks like JP Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, they can just absorb those smaller banks. And it does limit the pain, I guess.
For sure. But I still think you're going to run into a liquidity problem, in my opinion.
Probably, but we'll just print more money, I guess. I don't know. We'll just keep going into debt. But right, when is it gonna just blow up, like all the debt we're adding? And I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't turn into a huge problem.
I think it's already a huge problem, but I think it's a bigger problem for like everywhere else. The U.S. is very lucky for having the world's reserve currency,
Yeah. No, it's very versatile, the US. We can handle a lot of problems. Hopefully that continues, at least while I'm alive. Once I go, I don't care as much. But but yeah, we'll see. So you're in Canada,
Yes, sir.
but you invest in Canadian stock. You don't invest in any
Mostly.
US stocks?
I got a little bit of US, but I love my country. I've just got like peanuts in a few things that like one Tesla share and things like that.
Tesla, okay.
I
Yeah, I
actually
love
have like
the
10 Primerica shares too.
Primerica. The
Yeah.
insurance?
Yeah, it's essentially like
Primerica.
a multi-level marketing insurance thing.
Life insurance. I think I might have heard about them. Blade, didn't you ask for CEIX last time? Or was that someone else? I kind of remember Primerica. Didn't we? I think we looked at this on the live stream. Multi-level marketing.
Yeah. I don't really like the company, but I have such a low average I don't want to sell it. But I just remember someone tried to sell me the insurance through that. I was like, it's probably better off to just buy the equity, and I bought 10 shares, and it was better off to just buy the equity.
Well, there's a lot more upside to equity. There's also downside too. That's why we invest. Wow, look at that! Look at that growth. I don't invest in insurance companies. I have Berkshire, so I guess I do. That's done really well.
I don't like insurance. I literally, like, my friend became one of these people, and I was like, it's probably better off to just buy it. And he doesn't do it anymore, but I still hold it.
Multi-level marketing. It's not the most comforting thing to read when you first
I know, right?
learn about a company, but
Is
there's nothing wrong with multi-level marketing. I mean, in a way, everything is kind of multi-level. Like we always have to make money off of other people. That's the only way to grow your business. I mean, multi-level is a little different. It's more about these kind of like it's like a pyramid scheme.
Yeah. The thing is,
but
like,
a legal one.
I feel like Primerica gets like a whole bunch of people. Like my buddy buys it. He buys it for his, like, all the people around him, and then he tries to sell it to everyone else, and then no one else will buys it, and then he just stops doing his business, quote unquote. So they essentially have to get like new people in all the time. But if it didn't appreciate so much, I would have sold it by now. But I've been holding it for like almost a decade. So
Wow. Alex, do you mean FSA, flexible spending? I never FHSA. I'm not sure. I've heard of that. You mean I'm pretty sure you mean FSA. I definitely have done it at prior jobs. It's a great tax deduction. FSA. Look at Travelers Insurance. That stock has been on a rocket ship. Well, but no, you said retirement savings for
you might be talking
healthcare.
about a first home savings account if he's Canadian.
Okay. Oh, okay. I'm not Canadian, but first home savings account
or
HSA is the retirement style account. I'm so confused. I can't even. Oh, first home savings account.
If he's Canadian, yeah, he might be American and there's something else.
But you said it's for healthcare. You mean to pay your medical? Is that what you mean? It's a savings account that you can tap into for your medical insurance premiums. If you if it's like you could pay for your health insurance with retirement spending. I think I know what you're talking about, but I get what you're saying, but I've never really. I mean, it makes sense because you get a tax deduction if I understand it right, but no, I've never done this. So you fund a retirement account and use that money to pay your monthly medical insurance. Yeah, HSA. Wait, FSA. Wait. HSA and FSA both help you save for qualified. HSAs may offer higher contribution limits. I've always done FSA. I've never heard. Is HSA like if you work for the government? Health savings. What is HSA? Yeah, type of savings that you'll supposed to. Yeah, no, it's good for save on taxes. But when you like at jobs you're at, they allow you to put a certain amount of money into your FSA and then use that money to pay for medical or some other medical expenses, which sounds great. But like if you when you do your taxes, your accountant should ask you how much did you put towards your medical, and say you said, oh, I had 5,000 of premiums. You would still get a tax deduction. It's not like you wouldn't get a tax deduction on your medical spending. Well, at least for me, I don't like I used to get my own medical. Like I didn't have it through a company. I had my own company. So I guess that's why my accountant asked me. But most people get a tax deduction. I mean, pay medical pre-tax on their check each month. So I guess your accountant wouldn't need to know that, but yeah, but I used to do all those things at my job. Anything I could get a tax deduction on. Like I used to get when I worked in Manhattan, you could get like $200 a month and use that towards your Metro card. So the subway. But it adds up when you do all those. You try to save all those things in taxes. It was like I would get like less than half of my paycheck. I would get because there was so many deductions. But I guess it's when I'm 65, I'll be happy. Yeah. So what other stocks that you like? Or any?
I like well, after I like the idea of the reshoring of the industrial base. So anything to do with that.
Like
like
home builders?
No, like more industry, like chemicals and logistics and things like that.
What's everybody's opinion on holding a lot in cash? When I say cash, I mean like money market funds. Do you guys do that? Because I'm never cash. I always keep like some cash to pay my bills. But I guess it's more appealing now than ever before because now we can get like a real return on our cash, like 5-6%.
You actually get paid.
Yeah, where in the past it was like 1%, but I'm still never really in cash. Hey, Scott, what kind of work did you do? I was a bond trader. I worked 13 years in Manhattan. So I'm from Staten Island. So I spent, I grew up in Staten Island. So after college, I worked at JP Morgan for almost 5 years. but then after that, I spent about 8 years at really small boutique insurance companies. I'm not sure if you guys heard of Assured Guarantee. I mean, they're publicly traded. They're a bond insurance company. So I worked there for a lot of years. Usually on the I worked on like those subprime mortgage bonds, like in that movie, The Big Short. Like that's what I pretty much did. Yeah.
Which tranche?
And I was there, doing those, underwriting those deals and ruining our economy. I was part of that. I mean, of course, it wasn't my intention to ruin the economy, but I was definitely involved in that. From 2000, I started in 2000 after college, and then through the Great Recession, and then up 2012, I started a business. So T-bills. Well, I kind of knew. I mean, I don't think we knew they were that bad, but we had an inkling. But I was just a cog in a wheel. I didn't really. Yeah, the Treasury Direct. So you guys bought that? Yeah, I never got, but they were offering some pretty nice yields. The Treasury. You got those bonds from the government? The Treasury Direct. There was a pretty short window to access it, I thought. But yeah. I don't know. You guys are too risk averse, I guess. Wait, am I saying it right?
Yeah.
Yeah, risk averse. I mean, I don't think I'm that, aggressive and risky investor. I was a lot more in my 20s. But, I'm all about equity. Of course, if you need money for something, you don't want to invest in the market if you need, like, buy a house or something serious. But I think of it as a long-term thing. So even if the market goes down 50, wow, AGO is 87. Sheesh, it came up a lot. I remember when it went down to $1 during the Great Recession. Because most of the businesses in my industry went bankrupt. Yeah, it went down to like literally $1, I think. Maybe that was intraday. When the big crash. But I thought it was in 2007.
No, 07 was the top.
Yeah, 07.
Housing bottomed in 11.
The market bottomed in 09?
Yep.
Yeah, housing.
Housing bottomed in 11. I think it was March 09, right? Yeah.
Well, in 2021, obviously you talk about COVID, but in 2021, it went down like 30%. I thought the market.
It did.
It was such a bad year. I couldn't even look at my portfolio for like 6 months. I just couldn't even bear to look at it.
Oh, that's 2022, I think.
2022?
Right?
Or maybe I thought it was okay. So yeah, 2020 would have had a big drop. Oh yeah, 2022.
Yeah.
It like the S&P peaked at 470, and then it went down to 360. So it was down like from top to bottom in that 10-month time frame, like 20% or so. So that was a pretty significant drop, 20%. It just took a long time to do it. It wasn't like in a week, like COVID. It took like 10 months, but then it's just been uphill since then.
Even in COVID though, they were like the inverted yield curve flashed in 19. It hit new all-time highs in what was that, like January 2020 or was December 19? Like they started to do like the non-QE QE in 19. So there was already something going wrong with the plumbing in 19.
Mm-hmm. So in 2019, so you said it,
I think
but
it was
COVID pushed it
August.
over the top. It just was, it was
Normally,
there. There was problems, but the COVID like was a catalyst.
yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
I think like there was already something going wrong in the plumbing in 2019 of the financial system, and they essentially, they needed a good excuse to print a bunch of money, and COVID came around. They just so happened to get that excuse.
Yeah. No, sometimes you need these, and
Because
these crashes aren't bad. They kind of like
no, you
something
need them.
has to give. It's kind of like if you have a heart attack, obviously it's not a good thing, but like your body can only handle so much, the economy can only handle so much, and then it strengthens itself after these big problems.
Mm-hmm. You got to flush out all the bad debt, essentially the bad malinvestment, and give the assets over to people who are less risky and will build.
Yeah. So I mean, when a market crashes, I just see it as a great buying opportunity.
Me too.
As painful as it is to see your portfolio go down, there's always so much upside. But people exit. A lot of people exit the market and won't come back in, but they just miss out on all the gains. So many people exited, I remember, in the Great Recession and just wouldn't go put any money back in.
Right.
But they could have, made a massive return if they stayed.
Right. Like I held cash that whole time.
Through the whole run up?
Like I've been holding cash for this like that longest bull market in history. Yeah. Held cash.
Does that kill you? That
it does, but the few trades that I have made, I like if you were to average it out over I bet you I'm up more than 8%. Like I bet you like my oil trade, like that was way more than 1 year's worth of gains, and that was like 10 years worth of gains crunched into 2.
Yeah.
So I just feel like being invested the whole time, it makes sense, but I'm just like I'm just a perma bear. Like I said, I'm a perma bear. I think that shit's going to the ground.
So you think it's gonna collapse? Like the U.S. economy will collapse to the point like Great Recession kind of thing?
Oh yeah. Like I wouldn't be surprised if we dip below 2020 lows.
I mean that's possible. But you got to look at, if you just look how profitable we are. I mean,
I feel like a lot of it is just jacked up on old stimulus, and fiscal deficits, and faulty statistics.
I mean, I guess if the numbers are wrong, I can't really argue with that. But if I assume the these are real numbers,
If you look at
besides like the .com crash, which was extremely inflated.
Yeah.
But that's 2007. I thought
that first peak.
That .com and then the Great Recession.
Yeah.
But you see the PE ratio, I wish I get a chart for more current. Companies are profitable. It's if we start. Isn't there a website that gives you like actual historical PE?
I feel like the government wants to like convince you it's a good economy right now, but I don't think so. Now I'm always bearish and I'm always like conservative, but I just feel like it's never been worse.
But we're right now the S&P 500 is trading at 26 times earnings. So it's not that much more pricier than prior years. Sure, there were times when we were trading at 10 times earnings or less, but I think times are just changing, and our economy just runs at above these levels, above the 20. So it's I get it when when the average stock is 50 or 100 times earnings.
Moxie, Bitcoin is bear money. Bitcoin is, oh my God, the financial system is whacked. I need something else. Like Bitcoin was for all the people who thought the current financial system was jacked beyond belief. It's bear money.
Yeah. Unless you think the world's going in the toilet, I just don't. I mean, I definitely could see. I wouldn't be shocked if there's a pullback at any point, but based on how profitable we are, our country, well, U.S. is, probably other countries too. It's just there's so much innovation, and things have improved so much. Because remember, like if you compare like the 1970s to the 1990s, like how innovative the 90s are compared to 70s with the internet and like all these advanced technology things. And now when you compare the 90s to the 2020s, it's like day and night. So I don't know.
Like I don't disagree. Like there's tons of tech and all these things, but I think liquidity runs the day. Like it don't matter how good your business is or what, if you don't have money right now to do the thing you need, you're going to have to sell something. And I think liquidity rules the day, especially like 2020 would have been worse if it wasn't for the fiscal checks in your pocket. And I just feel like, if we run into a liquidity crisis this year and Congress, especially in the States, is a little gridlock and they don't want to just hand out free money to people, it won't be like 2020 where they bailed it out like the next day. As soon as the treasury market froze, they started just pumping it. And I just feel like you might be able to do that. Crypto is for shady things, not bear money. I totally disagree. More shady things are done with fiat than crypto. And crypto is on a blockchain, a public ledger that is there forever. So if you're doing like money laundering or whatever on a public blockchain that's going to be there forever, you're just an idiot. Because the transaction history is there. And once you link wallets, like you can map out a whole criminal network very easily. And that's why there's this thing called Tornado Cash. Of all crypto, they went after Tornado Cash. Why? Because Tornado Cash, you put in money and then they gave you random money back. So it was essentially like laundering, and it was a lot harder to trace. But Bitcoin, like if you're doing crime and using the Bitcoin network, you are leaving a trail that someone will be able to find and search forever. So it's like you're better off in fiat cash. And like it totally is bear money. It was designed. Satoshi's like the Genesis block talks about how we got to stop bailing out the banks.
I'm getting my $500 bill because I just want to show this is the how much money we have in circulation, and I actually have a $500 bill I bought for $1,000. I just want to show you guys.
Sure. Crypto, like everything's used for crime. Like cars are used for crime. I still think fiat's used more.
Isn't that cool, guys?
Like when they give
you see
sorry,
that?
what?
Can you guys see that? It's a $500 bill. I bought it on eBay like 7-8 years ago.
Nice.
For like $1,000. I've always wanted to own one.
Now?
I don't know. Probably it's the same thing. I don't know how to like figure out how much it's worth. I don't know like if there's a. I'm sure
eBay.
There's somewhere. I'm sure it's listed somewhere, but next is a $1,000 bill.
I did the dumbest thing. I had a collection from my grandparents of all this like old cash from Canadian, like all these like old bills and all this like all these Kennedy silver dollars, and I had them in a little cardboard box, and I got super drunk one day. I went around collecting all the boxes and I threw it in the fire pit. It was very bad.
Wow. I did that with like my old baseball cards. They got thrown out by accident, and I'm still like upset about that.
Dangerous.
But you see, this is how much money is circulating in the U.S. economy. In '97, $458 trillion, $458 trillion. That's how much money if you summed up all the money we have, I guess, each person in the U.S.
Is that like M0, M2, or?
So 458 trillion, and now it's in 2011 it's a 1 quadrillion, because these aren't trillions, right? No, they're in billions. Sorry. So 458 billion, 1 trillion in 2011. Now it's
that's currency in circulation. Okay.
2.3 trillion.
Is that around the world, or is that just in America?
U.S. I'm pretty sure it's maybe U.S. currency in circulation. Okay, so maybe I guess that's around the world.
That's around the world, yeah. Because like the Cubans are stacking dollars under their mattress.
I was hoping to find how much the U.S. how much cash is on the sidelines. I don't know. I guess everybody's has their own opinion on things, and that's what makes the market so great. You have some people bearish, some people bullish. I'm pretty much always bullish, and I think inflation is a big reason not the only reason, but a big reason stocks have to go up in the long run. Same thing with real estate and most assets. It has to go up because things just get more expensive. And if you hold a lot of, cash, now it's not too bad. But if you did like 5 years ago at like less than 1% interest, you're just losing money year after year. Now I did KKR while we were on a call. My valuation is $48. They're trading at 100. So it looks overvalued, but it's the future growth potential seems low, at least based on what analysts say. There's about $6 trillion in cash on the sidelines. Okay, that's what I wanted to see. How much cash on the sidelines?
Who's got that? Just in money market funds.
Yeah, I guess that's money market, right?
Yeah. Okay, I thought that company had $6 trillion in cash. We're like, what?
No. No company has.
Yeah, I know.
Well, maybe the U.S. government. But no, they might not even have that much. Money on sidelines and cash. It's savings, low risk. That's a good stat that I want to start following. Cash on the sidelines, because it does give you an indicator of like how things may change in the future.
Are you watching what's going on with the yen right now?
I know we've strengthened a lot relative to the yen, but no. And what do you mean exactly?
Well, they raised their interest rates for the first time in like 17 years.
Oh yeah, all that yeah.
And then their currency went down to like a really long low. I don't know what low.
Wow, it's 150? Oh my God. It's 50% it lost value. The Japanese yen relative to the US dollar. For forever it was a 100. I always remember used to looking at the conversion. It was always like around 190 something.
And I feel like
the
yen carry trade could, run into some issues.
It's like it was in the mid 80s again.
Yeah, they literally raised their interest rates for the first time in 17 years, and then their currency went to like a new low for however many years. And if you look at that, do some TA on that. They say number one, like look how big that base is, and there's no such thing as a triple top. So like you could see that going a little higher. And then if that goes a little higher, are they going to raise rates a little bit more? And then, what does that do for the extremely over-levered carry trade people?
Because Japan was like in a deflationary period or zero
for
interest
like
rates
40 years. Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah.
And it's almost like it was so worthless, not worthless, but like if you put money into a bank, you had to pay the bank to keep your money. That's how, you didn't really have to pay them, but in a sense, you were kind of like, losing interest by keeping your money in the bank. That's how.
They did take a little, I think.
What's that?
I think they did take a little. Like you literally have to pay the bank.
You pay the bank. Yeah, there's like
0.1 or whatever, 10 bips or something, but.
Yeah, but it was like crazy. Like you're better off not even putting your money in the bank, but you don't want to obviously get it. It's risky to leave money around. So, you gotta safeguard it some way. But yeah, and now they finally raise the rates, and it just kills their currency.
Right. And I feel like there's something brewing. I don't know what it is, but it's a debt-based system. Like it's inherently not stable, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Buffett was investing a lot in some Japanese companies.
Oh yeah,
He
he
mentioned
went
in the
deep.
letter.
I think 2021. I think he was deep.
So I guess they must be going down. Toyota probably is going down a lot now because of, I guess, short Toyota.
I think their stocks have been ripping.
Oh, I guess not. I thought it would be going down. That doesn't make sense.
Weaker currency. Price go up.
Also, it's the opposite. So when your country's currency weakens,
right,
the stock goes up.
Yeah.
Assuming you have money coming in from other countries, though. Not if you do. If a Japanese company that only did business in Japan, then the stock will go down. Is that right? Or
Japanese. I think no matter what, if you debase your currency, assets go up.
Okay.
Because it's like it's the denominator, right?
So if you strengthen your currency,
assets go down.
Go down.
Right? Like if you look at the price of if you look at that chart of the dollar that everyone shows, and it's like, oh look, it was $1 back in 1940 or 1913 or whatever, and now it's only worth 3 cents today or whatever. That chart, if you actually look at it, there's a period where it doesn't just continue to go down; it actually spikes up, and that's the Great Depression. So.
Huh.
I'll get you the chart.
That's interesting. So, but how do you? It's relative to other countries' currencies, right? How do you?
Yeah, you'd have to value it in against something else.
And but where are the base current? What are we valued against? How do you debase the U.S.?
I think that's just like the purchasing power. So it'd be like you could do it against like a jug of milk or something.
Okay, so the purchasing power of the U.S.
Here, I post.
That's inflation, though. That's I don't know. I got to think about this more. Yeah, it's interesting.
I posted something in your StreamYard thing.
What's that?
I posted a link in your StreamYard.
Oh, okay.
See, it's been going down, but when it spikes up, oh, go back to that other one. Yeah.
Which one? This one?
The second picture.
This?
Yeah, the dollar's worth. Purchasing power. Yeah. So if you look, where it spikes up is actually like the start of the Depression.
Okay, the Federal Reserve creates a central. Okay, so this is how much a purchase. So $25. Okay, value U.S. dollars in 2020 purchasing power. So you can purchase. Okay, because as your currency with inflation.
Inflation is the debasement. Monetary inflation.
Yeah. So the worse the purchasing power.
So when this chart's going down, you have inflation and things are costing. You have less purchasing power with your dollar. When this chart's going up, that means you're gaining purchasing power with your dollar. And if you look at this chart, they do not like it when the dollar goes up.
Okay. So when you gain purchasing power, when you could get more bang for your buck, it's bad for the economy.
Yeah, they'll come out and they'll be like, money for everyone, and they'll force the devalue because what they do not want a strong dollar.
So they've done a good job at making the dollar
worthless,
less and less valuable.
Yeah, but like what they want is like a steady decline, right? They don't want like sharp.
Right.
Yeah, and that's where that like 2% comes from. 2% inflation target.
Right.
That's like the slow and steady debasement. And it's solely because we live in a debt-based system, right? If a dollar is cheaper tomorrow, you don't mind getting in a bunch of debt because you pay off today's debt with tomorrow's inflated currency. But if it was going to get stronger tomorrow and you'd need more dollars tomorrow to pay back for a debt today, you wouldn't do it.
Right. That's what I mentioned last live stream before, is that the reason we'll never see deflation is because we're in so much debt. It makes debt so expensive. And inflation kind of makes debt less expensive.
I
and the
think
more
it's
inflation.
actually
What's that?
I think it's because we have that debt that you'll actually see the deflation. Because in our system, when you
Inflation.
because the debt, we will see
Right.
deflation. Because in our system, you create, like, everyone thinks that the biggest creator of money is the Federal Reserve, but it's actually the private banks. The private banks create way more money, and they create it when you get a loan. So if all it takes is less loan creation, and then you will not be able to maintain current asset prices because you'll have less new dollars created to pay the interest on the old debts. So that's what you constantly need, new credit created just to maintain prices. If for whatever reason credit stops being created, then you can't maintain the prices because you still have to pay the interest on that debt.
So you're saying we need deflation or we need inflation?
I'd personally love to see a shitload of deflation, but the central bankers do not want to see any deflation because that would just blow up large debtors. And
Right.
who are the
Okay.
large debtors? The government. Right.
Okay. That's what I've been saying, is that the government will not allow deflation because of all the debt we have as a country.
They're going to try, but I personally, I think we're going to see it anyway because you need someone to take on the debt. You need someone to take on new debt. And if you don't have an entity to do that, and politically it's not appealing or appetizing, then the government won't do it. You could get the Federal Reserve to do it, but if the government's not going to do it, expanding the Federal Reserve balance sheet's probably not politically palatable either. So then you have corporations or individuals. And I look at Canada, the individual is levered to the hilt. The government's levered to the hilt. And I guess corporations aren't as bad, but I don't see who's going to take on the new debt.
Yeah, no, because the more inflation there is, if it's like Venezuela where inflation is through the roof, it kind of eliminates your debt. If you owe a lot of money on your home, inflation will take care of that debt for you.
Right.
So,
but imagine you see deflation.
People will go bankrupt left and right.
Exactly. And that's all because of the debt.
Because of that, yeah. Exactly.
So, and I think if for whatever reason the yen carry trade blows up, no one knows who the hell is levered to the hilt in that system, that euro, dollar, yen, whatever. So I just feel like you'll never actually be able to know how much debt's out there. And if for whatever reason the new credit stops being created, you'll have to sell assets to pay interest on the old debt. And that's where you get the deflation. And plus, Canada, for example, our house prices have gone up obscene. I know so many people who have HELOCs to go on vacation, right? If you can't do that, if the bank's not going to give you a HELOC to go on vacation anymore, then you're not going to consume those barrels of oil. So that's a lot less demand. And I just feel like if there's no credit being created, you can't maintain the asset prices, and you also can't maintain the current demand that's stimulated through the roof. So
Right. We need to keep spending. We need more money to fund all these businesses. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Interesting live stream. Yeah, I learned a lot of new stuff. Thanks for joining, and thanks
not a
everybody
problem.
for commenting and watching, and subscribe to Moxie's video channel, and hopefully she can be a co-host on a future live stream. Okay, I'm gonna sign off. What's your name?
Sounds good. I'm hi there, guys.
Just hi there, guys. I didn't know if you want to give your first name, but you don't have to. Okay.
Call me. Yeah, I go by Noto.
Noko. Sounds good. Okay. Talk to you
Nice
later.
talking to you. Peace,
Thanks.
brother.
Okay. Bye.